so that we may not forget Him at any time. It's very important that we should constantly remember the Divine, Supreme, to have the real peace. Sri Ramakrishna has said many things about spiritual practices. And he gives special importance for the concentration of the mind. The whole spiritual matters unfolds itself fully if you know how to handle your mind. So spirituality begins by knowing the technique of controlling the mind. A few days back, a young man came to talk to me. I asked him to which part of the country you belong to. He said he was Mexican. He said he was practicing Hatha Yoga and in fact he has about 20 to 30 students teaching them Hatha Yoga. That gentleman was asking me that he is not able to get the real joy in life. He said he is somewhat disgusted at the things of the world, but then his mind is so much involved in things, he just does them even though he does not like to do. So his problem was how to stop that. He doesn't want to do, but his force of habit pushes him to do the things. That only shows how the tendencies have become very strong and rooted in the mind. So, no doubt it is difficult to uproot those tendencies harmful for our spiritual unfoldment. Even though it is difficult, we must do it. You will have to have the experience of immense peace and joy by following the process of concentration. It is true, I would like to concentrate, but I am not able to do it. That's the problem. Many things we know, but we can't do them. That is the power of the world, power of the Maya, which you can't explain, but you are passing through that state. At least you have realized in what state you are. To that extent, it is good. But you have to continue your spiritual quest. So, all that come and disturb you must be properly dealt with. Then only concentration becomes easy. It requires firmness, the first important quality in spiritual life is that. You must be determined to do the thing, to concentrate, to meditate. So, if you fail to do that, that is the indication of abstraction. If you don't take immediate step to rectify it, you will not be able to do any more concentration or meditation. So, at times it happens, if you observe your activity, in the beginning you are able to meditate on God. You are able to do that for a considerable length of time, probably a week or two. But then it so happened your most dear friend had come to you and you engaged yourself in talking with him. He wanted you to go with him for breakfast or lunch, whatever it is. So, after a long time you are meeting the friend, so at that point of time, you did not give serious thoughts about your meditation, what you were doing regularly, but just for that short period of time, you went with the friend. In that process, what happens? The mind got involved. It got absorbed in the conversation. Then you have just forgotten the discipline that you had brought about in the preceding 2 weeks. So you are just pushed off. That is why discipline is very important in spiritual life. Everything you have to do it forcefully in the beginning, otherwise it won't be done. You want to get up, you won't get up. You want to sit, you will not sit. You want to maintain silence, you will talk. So whatever you want to do, the opposite will happen. Because it depends upon how far your habits are formed. So, here the significance of firmness. You have to sincerely resolve yourself. I am sincerely trying to meditate upon God and experience the real joy. Want to know what is the reality. So in order to do that, you will have to make a firm determination that you will rise up early in the morning and meditate definitely for a certain period of time. When you start meditation, what happens if your meditation is done in a systematic way? You will find that your mind becomes comparatively free of thoughts, and this will give you joy in direct proportion. You will know that this is a joy that can be had not from the external objects, but only by the subjective thinking. That is, when you associate yourself with the true inner personality. So conscious of this, your tendency to go out seeking pleasure will automatically thin out without any effort. So thereafter you will find it more natural to meditate than to engage yourself in all sorts of actions which were formerly giving you a kind of joy. So, the first step that is required to make the concentration effective is firmness. I will do it. I shall do it. And in the last class I talked about how laziness comes as an obstruction in our practices. But you should give no room to such laziness anymore. That's a very important point. So, our Vedantic teachers ask us to engage ourselves in selfless activities which are helpful for getting rid of laziness. The famous statement which is often given by Vivekananda, Atmano mokshartham jagadhitaya. It is to perfect your life, to become a liberated one and to be of benefit to the world. You have to engage in activities in order to become perfect. You have to perfect your life first. Then only can you serve society properly. If you are imperfect, then the service you do will also be imperfect, as there will be a selfish content in your service. So when you have perfected yourself and have certain experience, then alone can you serve the world best. Then you will impart your very perfection and goodness to others. That's the beauty of the great masters, Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother, Vivekananda. They have lived the life of spirituality. They have shown what exactly the meaning of purity and perfection. So, having that idea strong in your mind all the time, then engage your service, then selfless service will issue forth spontaneously from you. Service can also be done as a karma yogi. But you have to be very careful about what you are doing and how your mind is influenced by such actions. Then another obstruction in our spiritual life, I told in the last class, was laya or jada samadhi. Then the another obstruction that might come is tamas, that is sleep. As soon as you try to sit for meditation, you are overcome by sleep. So, you have to fight that. You should not your mind to get into the state of sleeping. That means you have to take proper food so that your body is light and you'll be able to think properly. Then there is another way of obstruction that might come. That is the diversion of your purpose in a wrong direction. It's called in Sanskrit vikshepa. People come and talk to you, and you are tempted by their association, and that is enough to divert your mind in different direction. So, you have to be very careful about that point. The another important point that we have to note here is rasaswada. When you progress little well in your concentration, sometimes you will be able to have some visions. You may be able to see some divine forms. It is possible. When you see those forms, you get remarkable joy. But then the spiritual masters say, don't stop at that. Don't get satisfied by having that joy. Go further. That is, you have to transcend that form of joy too. If you have to have the experience of absolute peace and joy. You must have the clear conception of the ultimate reality, which is pure consciousness, pure existence, and pure bliss. So, when these hindrances are removed, then you find yourself directly in contact with the absolute truth. Vidyate hridaya grantihi chidyante sarva samshayaha. The Vedanta says, the knots of the heart are broken, all doubts are dispelled, anger, jealousy, greed, and all such things will go away. You become an embodiment of virtues. So, when you have got that experience, then you will see your mind will be as pure as gold that has been melted and cooled. So Sri Ramakrishna tells, take all care about concentrating on the divine idea regularly without break. He places more importance on your total involvement in the spiritual life. Just as you totally involve yourself in the worldly matters, in the same manner you have to apply yourself totally in spiritual matters. Then you will have a tremendous experience of happiness. We are studying chapter 22 of the Gospel. Sri Ramakrishna is giving instructions how we should conduct ourselves in this world to have real peace and joy. God is very gracious, very kind. For this reason that peace and joy are available to everyone. He is available to everyone. What he wants is you must really aspire for him. Then only he will come to you. So, we have come to this world. But what is happening? We are circling round and round, coming back and forth, birth and death, death and birth and death. Tick, 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 goes on. Endless. It's true. As long as you are not aspiring for knowledge, so long you will be circling round and round in this world. God is there, but he is not visible to us because of the darkness of ignorance. So, it's a great awakening when you come to know that you are really in darkness. It's not given to all. Very few people will realize it, having gone through lots of troubles, risks, sufferings. Slowly they come to understand, what is this happening? Why this suffering? Suffering came to you not because of God, but because of your own way of life. So, you have to take steps to recover from this state of ignorance. Sri Ramakrishna was talking to an actor. He appreciated her act. He appreciated her performance in the drama. And she was overwhelmed with joy to have the blessings of Sri Ramakrishna. And he said to her, well, the world is like a hog plum. The hog plum has only pith and skin. After eating it, you suffer from colic. So, what he means to say, if you are keep on involving wholly in the things of the world, the final result would be you'll be end up in a mess of suffering, peacelessness, depression, all sorts of things. They are all consequences of your indiscriminate involvement in the things of the world. If you want, you can use the fan. It's very hot, I think. You can use, here also there is fan. Turn the direction towards, I think it is hot, yeah. Just turn it, that's all. No, turning. On and off is there. Yeah. So, the actor asked a question. What's the difference between lust and desire? Sri Ramakrishna answered, lust is like the root of the tree and desires are branches and twigs. Why we are suffering in this world? Because we are under the grip of these 6 passions: lust, anger, greed, and the like. So, Sri Ramakrishna is suggesting a solution. Direct them towards God. Direct them towards God. That is, if you must have desire and greed, then you should desire love of God and be greedy to attain Him. If you must be conceited and egotistic, then feel conceited and egotistic, thinking that you are the servant of God, the child of God. I am the child of God. Be proud. That kind of egotistic attitude is not harmful. Why we are not able to see God? Why? Though all the scriptures declare, all the Mahatmas say, saints and sages, hosts of holy people, they all say, God is there and He can be seen. But still we are not seeing, we are not able to see. Why? Why we are not able to see if God is there? That's because the mind is not towards Him. That's the reason. God can be seen only when the whole mind is fixed on Him. That's the point. Whole mind. But what is happening? If you observe the things, what is happening actually? Is your mind wholly directed to God? No. How much the mind is wasted on lust and other things. He told the actor further, take your own case. Sri Ramakrishna is telling her, you have children, you are occupied with the theatre, every now and then you have to go and give performance. So many things are connected with that. That means, in how many ways the mind has gone outward. So the mind cannot be united with God on account of these different activities. Whatever reasons you may give, I want to earn money, I want to have a home, I want to have this, I want to have that, this, that, multiply 100 times, 1,000 times, good. Have all the fun. But you can't have God. Until and unless the whole mind is given to Him. Herein comes the importance of spiritual practice, spiritual struggle. Struggling is there because you have to fight with your mind. You have to fight with your mind because you have created lot of powerful impressions in the mind in previous lives. To undo them requires lot of struggle, lot of awareness, lot of alertness, lot of carefulness, zeal and determination. All these things are required. Simply telling, oh, I want result. We are Americans. If I want God, I must seek God today. Otherwise I don't want God. But by these threatening expressions, you can't make God come to you. No. Only when you totally surrender your false ego. What is this I? Feeling so much proud about myself. Who is this insignificant I? I am nothing. If you are able to cherish this attitude for a long time, with all humbleness, be prayerful and carry on the duties assigned to you, not forgetting God, all the time thinking of Him. Then God is always with you and you are sure to see Him. So, no effort is wasted. No effort is wasted. All these lust, greed, anger and so forth, they gradually leave one by one. They simply run away when you take to spiritual disciplines properly. So that means it is made very clear. What is that? Intense desire for worldly things and God cannot go together. To have one, you will have to let go the other. At the same time, it is not possible to entirely give up the lower pleasures unless you have tasted the joy of the higher. In order to have the taste of the joy of the higher, you have to give your whole heart to God. When you have still vigor and strength, make God your own. God is my all in all. Fix this truth firmly in your heart. Then the path becomes easy. Once you taste the joy of Lord, all other pleasures will become insipid. So, it means you have to dedicate your life to God, you have to take refuge in Him totally, and then let Him do with you whatever He wants to do. Why do you have to bother about yourself anymore? When you have surrendered to God, let God take care of you. Finished. So that means how very important it is to discipline the mind. You can't control the mind by the mere study of books. You may read thousands of books every now and then. You read reviews of so many books written on various aspects of the mind, psychology and so on and so forth. There are brilliant psychologists, brilliant professors of psychology. That doesn't mean that he has full control over the mind. Only bookish knowledge, not the practical knowledge. Practical knowledge is different. So, power of the mind becomes strengthened by the practice of continence. Then passions no more trouble you. They are the stumbling blocks in our way to see God. One after the other, the passions come and attack. Lust comes, anger comes, greed comes. All sorts of things come. One after the other. They simply kill you bit by bit. They don't rest till they completely destroy you. That's the nature of this wonderful play of Maya. So, what you should do then? When you know that that is poison, you should not drink that poison. You should not take it anymore.
Keep yourself far away from all the things which give rise to negative feelings. They do come because of the previous habits, whatever you have done. They keep on coming with greater force because you are trying to control them. They want to show up their power. What? My master wants to control us. Let us see. They all join together. Once they want to attack with full force. They do come like that. But you should not yield to them. Whenever such feelings come to the mind, don't get nervous. Don't get nervous. Let any dirty thoughts come to the mind. Don't get nervous. But pray to Sri Ramakrishna, the embodiment of all gods and goddesses, the supreme incarnation for this age. Pray to him with folded hands. Then you will see the wonder of wonders. Lust and gold, how many times in every page of the gospel these are the main enemies on our way. They are the chains that drag us down to the pit of worldliness. Why these repeated births and deaths are caused? Because of this passionate desire for lust and gold. You can soar high when you shake yourself free of these chains. One of the direct disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Premanand, he said, have faith, have self-confidence, convince yourself, we are devotees of Sri Ramakrishna. We are free souls. Assuredly we shall realize God. Have this firm conviction, and then alone you can overcome the furious enemies, namely lust, anger, and so forth. As I said earlier, disturbing thoughts try to creep in. Pray earnestly and remember the ideals set before you by Sri Ramakrishna. What is needed here is, on your part, what you have to do, you will have to struggle unremittingly to free your mind of all impurities. That's your job. Vacuuming the mind thoroughly is important. Once the mind is thoroughly cleansed, you will have the vision of God. You will see God and you have immense joy. Swami Chidananda ji, another direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna, he said, mere suppression of passions helps little. There must be a highest ideal along with self-restraint. Without a high ideal, the passions will find another outlet. So you must give them a new direction. Then you will be automatically free of them. Take refuge in me and control the senses. That is the teaching of the Lord. What is lust? Sri Ramakrishna explained, it is the desire to get. Then desire to get him and strengthen this desire greatly. Think that you are his child. Why should be so low as to be lustful? Think that you are ever pure. Take refuge in God and give up that clinging to flesh with a firm determination, saying, I won't do it again. That's important. I won't do it again. I won't do it again. You should read, you should have that every day. You must read that in your mind. I won't do it again. If you are very sincere about that, all the sons, all the papas, sins done previously, everything will be forgiven. Only when you sincerely proclaim, I won't do it again. That's important. I won't do it again. But, why but? One should not play the hypocrite. Then what happens? All the old sins will come down upon you and exact their dues with compound interest. So, don't be hypocrite. That's what is meant. Sometimes you have to go to the core. Look to the Atman, not to the body. All along you are looking your body. How many times non-stop you are looking into your body from morning to night? Millions of times you will have seen your body. Try to see the Atman. Look to the Atman, not to the body. That means, how to look to the Atman? Fix the mind always on the Atman. Fix the mind. Think about Atman, which is bereft of all these body, mind, senses. I am free of all these encumbrances. One gets attached to objects by constantly thinking of them. From attachment comes longing, and from longing comes anger. All these come one after the other. One follows the other. So, how far we are able to struggle in a proper way, what steps are we taking, what positive steps we have initiated to make the mind behave properly. That is, to make the mind not run after the things that distract you from God, but making it more and more come towards God.
worshipping Him, meditation on Him. Like that, whatever that helps you to keep your mind from all those distractions, all those steps you have to take and conduct your life accordingly. Then only there is hope of conquering death. Otherwise, you will be always tormented by fear of death. Fear of death because of ignorance. So, conquering of death is possible only when you are able to fix your mind properly on God. When we take to spiritual ways of life, we can have the glimpses of peace and joy. Why people are not able to get that type of peacefulness in their life? It's because mind has been contaminated by all sorts of things. If one is engaged more and more in the activities not conducive for the spiritual growth, then how can a person expect peace? Each one has to work out. Everyone will have to follow the path of dharma. When you leave this body, you don't carry anything. Everything is left off here. Money, land, properties, friends, relations, anything, everything is left over. But you carry something. What is that? Dharma and adharma, they follow you. Whatever you have done in this world, through your actions, sometimes good, sometimes bad, the resultant effect of good and bad done by you follows you even after you leave the body. So, a person seeking peacefulness must eventually follow the path of righteousness, dharma we call. Be good and do good. That is the principle of dharma. To be well established in character, well stabilized, then render yourself to the maximum for the benefit of the society. So if you have to reach God, you will have to follow dharma in all seriousness. Though God is there everywhere, but God is specially manifest in human being, and He is manifest in every individual. Still we are not able to see. The reason is the mind is contaminated. So the actions which you do lead you towards chain of births. Actions and actions, they multiply, go on multiplying. Desires multiply by desires, become endless desires. Endless desires means restlessness. So, you will have to understand this point very carefully. It's not that these things didn't exist before. It always existed. Dharma and adharma, they always existed. When the creation starts, it starts with all these things, good, bad, everything. Even there may be saints, Mahatmas, holy people, even they have to pass through this terrible experience of the world. But in spite of going through this world, the saints maintain themselves peacefully. How? Because they know how to regulate their life. They know how to train their mind. Training of the mind is very important. Training of the mind. You have to struggle very hard. So, we have to get rid of the impurities in the mind which are causing peacelessness. We should try to take steps which make us go towards God. So Sri Ramakrishna was telling the actor who had come to meet Sri Ramakrishna to take his blessings. Whoever came to Sri Ramakrishna, he always taught them spiritual teachings to make their life blessed. So he told the actor, as long as there is bhoga, that is desire for enjoyment, excessive enjoyment, there will be less of yoga. The more and more you are losing faith in God means the more and more you are deep in the worldly glamours and attractions. Sri Ramakrishna explained this beautifully, giving a simile. Once an eagle had a fish in its beak. Somehow the crows saw it. Immediately, hundreds of crows chased the eagle. Hundreds, not one or two. And the eagle, carrying the fish in its beak, tried to escape the crows, flew in different directions, but the crows didn't stop. Wherever the eagle went, the crows would chase more vigorously, making more noise. In that great confusion, all of a sudden, the fish dropped from the beak of the eagle. The moment the fish dropped from its beak, the next moment the crows disappeared altogether. No crows to be seen. They all went after the fish. And explaining this, Sri Ramakrishna gives a wonderful teaching. The fish is the object of enjoyment. The crows are worries and anxieties. As long as you have got the fish, the crows will be always there. That means as long as you desire to enjoy this world, you are bound to have peacelessness, worries, and all sorts of things. That means worries and anxieties are inevitable with the worldly activities. No sooner does one give up these activities than one finds himself peaceful. So you have to organize yourself what type of activities you are following. You have to take steps, whatever goal you want to reach. So the best way to correct your path is to surrender yourself at the blessed feet of the Master. Have absolute reliance. That's the way to free yourself from the worries of the world. That means you'll have to undertake regular spiritual practice to protect yourself from the attack of worldly distractions, temptations, and all sorts of things. So, fear, worries, they occupy your heart as long as there is hypocrisy, evil motives, and selfishness. These are all the causes for contamination. You have to take steps to clear it up, however difficult it might be. So the Mahatmas show the way also. Consider yourself as a child of God. If you are well stabilized at this attitude, no weakness can come near you. And another method is, don't waste your time in worrying about your bad impressions. Oh, I was like this, I did like that, I did like this. Somebody came about 2 days before and he was telling, in my younger days I had committed many bad things. I told him, why are you remembering those things? Why should you remember the bad things? Why don't you remember the good things? So the more you think about the bad things, the more they become aggressive and they disturb you. So begin to correct them from today onward. Take corrective steps. Swami Chidananda, one of the great disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, he said, take immediate steps. Don't wait anymore. Done is done. Now you start fresh. Still you have got time to correct yourself. Whatever is done. Don't look back. Create a set of new impressions. As I said, dharma and adharma always follow you. That is, whatever the actions you do, good or bad, the resultant effect of those actions follow you wherever you go. So when you concentrate yourself on doing things that would create good impressions, you will find in course of time all these bad impressions dropped off. The good impressions will occupy your mind, which will help you to get peace and joy in life. As is said by all the holy people, constantly remember the divine name of God that pushes out all unwanted, undesirable things from your mind. If for some reason you stop thinking of God, all the other thoughts, they all gather up again with tremendous force and will push you into never-ending worries. So that shows how carefully you must be doing your spiritual practices. There was an aspirant. He was very peaceful and contented because he desired nothing, always dwelling his mind on the Supreme Self. So one day he was walking on his way in that jovial mood, self-absorption, bliss. The people on the street, they saw him. They were charmed to see this person. Simple and joyful. So it's a joy to see such people. So these people came near him, and after talking with him a little, then out of great respect, somebody offered him $1, just $1 coin. That aspirant took it without knowing the consequence of receiving that. He probably thought it doesn't matter much. Anyway, he took it. The moment he had that money, the moment he received that $1, he was overpowered by a thought. Immediately, it's as if the dollar coin had the power of thought also along with it. Anyway, he began to think in that moment, what should he buy? Should he buy corn or should he buy clothes? He began to think in those terms because he got that $1. So these thoughts occupied his moment to such an extent. In that period, he forgot to repeat God's name, which he was doing all the time before he received the $1. Suddenly he remembered he had not repeated God's name, which had made him landed in restless way. So he rightly analyzed within himself and found out that the $1 was responsible for all this worry. So in disgust, he threw away the $1. He stared at it and said, he made a significant remark. This $1 was enough to make me forget God's name, but there are many, many people who have a lot of wealth. How would they be remembering God? It's no wonder that they don't care for God or they don't need God. Sri Ramakrishna said another point to the actor. One sees in a theatrical performance a person keeping a pitcher of water on his head and at the same time dancing about. What great power of concentration! Referring to this, Sri Ramakrishna said, live in the world. You have to live in this world, being born. Nobody tells you to die, to commit suicide. No. Nobody says that. Live in the world, but keep the picture steady on your head. That's important teaching. That is, keep the mind firmly on God and then live in the world. You are able to live properly. That's the way to live in this world. That's the way to live without worries and anxieties. Do your duties in the world, but remember always that the pestle of death will sometimes smash your hand if you are not alert. Little carelessness means disastrous effect. So, explaining this, Sri Ramakrishna told a story, a wonderful story about the carpenter families in Kamarpukur, how the women work while making flattened rice with a husking machine. One woman keeps the end of the wooden beam. Another woman, while nursing her baby, turns the paddy in the mortar dug in the earth. This lady is always alert, lest the pestle of the machine should fall on her hand. With the other hand, she fries the soaked paddy in a pan. Besides this, she is talking with the customers. She tells them, "You owe so much money, please pay it before you go." All these transactions she carry on, but her mind is always on the pestle. Likewise, do your duties in the world, perfectly all right, but very important, most important is keeping your mind fixed on God. Then only duties will result in good result. Otherwise, duties cause more worries and anxieties than joy. What is the use of doing such duties? Tell me. By doing duties, you must feel fulfilled, you must feel contented, you must feel peaceful, joyful. All these things you will get only when your mind is fixed on the Paramatman. That means practice is required, practice is necessary. And one should also be alert. Only in this way can one safeguard both God and the world. It is true, as long as you are in the world, you are bound to get yourself involved in the worldly affairs. Nobody doubts it. Even though you say you are not involved, you are more involved by saying that way. But take refuge in divine God while performing the duties of life. Then you can withstand much better the storms and stresses of the world. Depend on God's dispensation. So, no doubt you are all bound by duties. You must also know the supreme duty of one is to remember God all the time. Every breath should be associated with His name in your mind. Whatever work you do, it is to be performed with the right attitude. You must feel that the duties that you are discharging have been entrusted to you by divine God. You are doing them only to satisfy Him, not to satisfy your selfish will. So the more you get rid of selfishness, the more you become peaceful. The more you taste spiritual joy. So let us try to mold our life in that fashion. Read the life and teachings of Mahatmas. Study the life and teachings of Sri Ramakrishna, Holy Mother. And then take the ideas suitable to your temperament and follow it up in all zealousness. Then you will see how you can be free from all worries Though you are living in this world, still you are not contaminated. How difficult it is to practice Vedanta. For some reason or other, once the mind gets distracted, it takes long time to refix it on the spiritual ideal. It only shows how mind eagerly waits for an opportunity to run out as if released from the discipline of control. So a very important factor in spiritual journey is steadiness. But how little importance we are giving for this wonderful quality of steadiness. Well, Sri Ramakrishna has given most practical suggestions to live life of purity. It's only when you are well established then in that purity, then only you will enjoy the bliss of God. So, Sri Ramakrishna said, he has said many times, and again he tells. Why he tells repeatedly? Because we forget quickly. So, he tries to remind us again and again. He wants to give assurance again and again. He wants to give us hope again and again. That's why they always say, why we have come to this world if not for this? So, though we are careless about the utility of the time, the holy people are not like that. They are very careful about the use of time. Every minute, every moment is very precious, and they want to use it in a proper way. So Sri Ramakrishna tells, devotees used to come generally during weekends. And Sri Ramakrishna would say, God can be seen. It is not imagination. It is not a fiction. Oh, does God really exist? And here Sri Ramakrishna is telling, you can see him as you are seeing me. That's a great assurance. That's a great hope for our life. Otherwise, what is there in this life? Tell me. So, Sri Ramakrishna tells further, well, you can see God, but you have to practice spiritual disciplines. If your discipline starts coming to the chapel to attend all the activities here wholeheartedly, becoming part and parcel of the ashram. I mean to say, those who love Vedanta, those who want some positive result in their life, they should follow this method. We should never miss anything that is good to us. And Sri Ramakrishna tells you, by practicing disciplines, what will happen? You will see how God's grace flows upon you. It is through His grace only you are able to see Him. You are able to perceive that grace only when you undergo spiritual disciplines. The rishis of the ancient times, they had direct experience of the truth. They had seen God face to face and they enjoyed heavenly bliss all the time. But then Sri Ramakrishna himself tells how Sri Ramakrishna was aware of this fact. We are all living in this age of science, as if science is everything. There is nothing that is sacred than the science. That's how we think. But Sri Ramakrishna tells here very clearly, you cannot know the truth about God through science. Because what is the nature of science? It gives you only information. Only about things perceived through the senses. And Sri Ramakrishna tells in his language, this matter is mixed with that material, gives such and such result. And that material mixed with this material gives such and such result. That's all your science. So what Sri Ramakrishna wants to tell is that you can't comprehend spiritual things with this ordinary intellect. It requires